Here's in the start list, Rosa van Doorn, the winner of the Marathon World Cup last year. Natalia Fischer, the European champion. Paula Gorka-Kerman of Poland. Sandra Meyerhofer, the Italian. There's Ray Hammer Otto of the USA. Watch out for her. It's nice to see an American jersey in the fields as well. Clara Sommer of Austria on that list. Again, maybe not featuring in the top 10, but it's good to see. It's really well known for flamingos around here, would you believe? Lots and lots of flamingos. None of which are riding mountain bikes today. Natalia Fischer looking pretty intent, with Niemkiewicz next to her, and then Rosa van Doorn in the center in the all black of BH with the yellow stripe through the middle. Again, it'll be a fast start. Maybe not quite as fast as the men. They tend not to hammer it first of all, but they'll stay together on the road section. And it looks to me as though Rosa van Doorn is quite happy to set an early, sensible pace here. There's the American jersey, look, of Otto on the left-hand side. This is Senia, the first checkpoint that we saw with the men's race at 20 kilometers. And remember, the men here were all still together in a peloton, essentially, a small peloton, a small group. Now, sometimes the women's races take a completely different tack. There may well be only a group of 3 or 4 here. Well, in fact, there's just one rider. This is Anna Weinbeer of Switzerland, and she's already got a 2-minute lead, basically, over Rosa van Doorn, Natalia Fischer, and Paula Gorka-Kerman of Poland. There's Otto of the United States at 2:26 down. Oh, good to see Amanda Bolin there of Sweden, and then Sandra Meyerhofer and Claudia Peretti. Lelia Niemkiewicz and Natalia Fischer at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. But a huge gap already for the Swiss. Well, this is extraordinary. You know, sometimes a rider feels as though they're on such good shape, or they can take control of things and just go. They settle into a pace, they're happy with it and thinking, I'm going to go with that. But at only 20 kilometers, especially when it's not particularly rocky and it's not particularly mountainous at this point, that is a real marker. And you have to ask yourself, has Anna Weinbeer got enough in the tank to do this? Oh, come on, let's share the work. You can see the roadie tactics coming here. Let's go round and round, and somebody do the pulling on the front. Natalia Fischer and Rosa van Doorn in that group ahead. Niemkiewicz on the right-hand side, tiny rider. All riding 29-inch wheels, although, you know, even bigger wheels are on the way, which is extraordinary, really. The argument being that they're even better for rolling over obstacles and, you know, speed and acceleration, but well, and especially for big riders. I don't know how that leaves little riders like Niemkiewicz, where you've got, you know, even bigger wheels than 29-inch. Anna Weinbeer, 1 minute and 54 seconds ahead of Fischer, Van Doorn, and Gorka-Kerman. Looking comfortable. But that's an extraordinary gap. 3 minutes 35 seconds down to Otto of the United States of America, and all those riders behind that, they're just riding for points now. And these riders are gonna have to work together, because there is no way that they are possibly gonna eat up that gap unless they really do. It's Fischer on the front, Van Doorn just sitting in behind, has taken her turn on the front. She never looks like she's particularly troubled, Van Doorn. She sort of sits very upright on a bike. Here's the La Solana That very, very long climb across the shoulder of the mountain here. This is where we saw the breakup between the leading riders in the men's race, with Wout Alleman and Andres Seewald taking off at the front and just pulling out that gap. And Anna Weinbeer opening out an enormous gap now. 2 minutes and 56 seconds. That's huge. And she's just riding away for it in the moment. She's looking pretty comfortable. She was all smiles at the beginning of the race when she was being interviewed. But you can see this climb is a concrete climb. She's going on and on and on. And if you've got the legs, you can push on. Well, what is the question behind? As Anna Weinbeer moves on to the rough stuff, the loose packed gravel. What's the question behind? Can they not eat up into that? Are they not working together? Are they unwilling to work together? That would seem a bit daft. Greta Kerman has got about a bike length between her and Rosa van Doorn, and has to keep sort of coming up to the wheel. Van Doorn in second. That's a nice shot of Otto. Rayhan Otto of the United States of America. You can't miss those jerseys, can you? For those of you as old as I am, started racing mountain bikes in 1988. You'll remember the road jerseys of Brooklyn from the 1970s and early 80s that mimicked that sort of jersey. Ooh, Greta Kerman of Poland not enjoying that at all. Losing touch slightly with Natalia Fischer and Rosa van Doorn, but my word, what a lead there's been for the Swiss rider Anna Weinbeer. Beautiful, beautiful countryside. We are with our leader live. Ooh, do you know what? She's hanging in there at 2 minutes and 30 seconds ahead of the chasing duo of Van Doorn and Fischer. And this is a difficult part of the course, but I'm not sure she's looking quite as comfortable, certainly as early in the race. That's understandable, isn't it? They've been racing around for a while. Keep an eye on that ticker on the top left of your screen. 2:30 the gap at the moment to Rosa van Doorn. But Anna Weinbeer has been out all day by herself. They are at 65 kilometers. Been in the saddle 3 hours and 54 minutes, nearly 4 hours, with 11 kilometers to go. Now, it sounds like a big gap, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but if suddenly she blows, if there is something that's troubling her and she blows, then that'll come down real quick. But at the moment, it's looking stable, but she's looking over her shoulder. How far down the hill can she see? She's clearly concerned about where people are. There is Rosa van Doorn, currently second. 2 minutes and 35 seconds is the gap. She had a fantastic season last season, Rosa van Doorn. She finished the season first in the cross-country marathon standings, and so starts first this year. She won at Cappellevieri, so some similar terrain to this. She won in Natureland in Andorra, a completely different type of course, much higher. She won in the Black Forest. But our leader, Anna Weinbeer, has sort of really exploded on the scene in the last 18 months. What a great ride. She was second in the World Championships in Switzerland in Valais last year. The gap remaining steady between our second place rider Van Doorn and the leader Anna Weinbeer, but the question is Fischer behind, losing ground, or is she just steadily gaining again? 15 seconds gap. And I think, in fact, that Van Doorn had tried. And I think Fischer can see that she's going to take Rosa van Doorn back into her clutches. And the question is she just going to sit behind her for a little bit, stay with her, just recover, and then kick again? Or is she going to ride straight past? I mean, she looks pretty good with 11 kilometers to go. I think he's just going to make contact. Fischer is going to make contact. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, our leader, Anna Weinbeer. And let's throw live again to Natalia Fischer out on the course. Nicola, this woman has been in the lead for basically the entire race, but is she now beginning to suffer from what you can see?
Not at all. She looks really strong. What's going on? And up this last steep uphill. No, it's not the last. It's the second last. And we'll see how she does in the descent and on the last climb.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that, Nicola. From your experience seeing her riding, do you think she has the technical ability to stay ahead of riders like Van Doorn and Fischer on those rocky, difficult single-track descents?
Yes, I think she has the ability, especially with that big lead. She now really can go down the hill safely, don't take too much risk, and then she will be good.
Fatigue setting in is enormous. Pretty much all the riders running similar gear ratios here and similar bike setups. And it sort of comes down to really what you've still got left in the tank at this stage of the race. Maybe the bike setup's going to be obviously a factor when you're descending down some of these rocky slopes. But it looked a little bit like Van Doorn was closing the gap again, but I think Fischer's just pulled away. Maybe Van Doorn's just blown a bit. Riding for BH, Spanish brand. Been around for a long time. Originally Bastegi Brothers bikes. She's not giving up, is she? At all. But that gap has definitely gone out a little bit. Switches into a little bit bigger gear. Maybe she feels she's got the ability, when it fattens out a little bit, to ride in a slightly bigger gear and close the gap. It's really interesting about cadence. Oh, she's got right down the gears again now to take that steep corner. But when we saw Fischer chasing, she was twiddling the pedals. Really high cadence riding.
And sometimes, I mean, we're told that maybe that's the best way to ride, but sometimes riders just aren't comfortable with that. And you see it on the road as well. Jens Vogt was, years and years ago, was a prime example of that. Modern day riders exactly the same. Some riders like riding in a slightly bigger gear. Other riders would think that's overgeared, but it's not. Oh, look at the grimace on Natalia Fischer's face. Searching for the gears on that S-Works to give her as big a gear as possible, winding it up out of the saddle. And she clearly fears that Rosa van Doorn, #1 ranked rider at Mountain Marathon in the world, has still got something left. Opportunity for a little bit of drink. Oh, out of the way, come on, out of the way, off the track. Goodness sake. Well, that is one of the joys, isn't it, of mountain biking. It is an open sport. I was watching the Winter Olympics yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw the dog following the Nordic skiers, which was quite fun towards the finish line. I think it was a Tamascan, actually. A very rare breed. Looked slightly like a wolf, but it was a dog. Rosa van Doorn, she's just absolutely piling. I would think that's an energy gel and fluids into her. She's not giving up at all. She's got to give it everything she possibly can. There's no way on earth she's going to make the top step of the podium, but it's all about points, and she wants to get that silver medal rather than the bronze. Van Doorn over the precipice into the single track, raising herself, her backside off the saddle, letting that back wheel slide and flow. Good riding. Using arms and legs like dampers on a car. And this is a tough bit of descent. Oh, he almost overcooked it, almost missed it there. Once you get to the precipice of something like that, you just let the bike almost come to a stop, turn in, let the front brake off, and just let it roll. Let it go. And those are the difficult bits. It's not returning the corners, it's when you have to come to a dead stop and make a turn. No, nicely done. Just jumping the bike round. And again, that's very old school. Oh, no, don't put your feet down. Oh, now she's looking unhappy. She's lost the rhythm here. Oh, no, that's a disaster. She's lost the rhythm. Come on, come on, come on. We don't know what Fischer's like. Here she is up ahead. Now we get that first chance to see what her descending is like at the moment. A little slower. I don't think she's as fast. Oh, she too is losing a little bit of the flow. And that is a big problem. You know, once you come to a grinding halt or you overcook something, the whole mojo thing just goes out the window. Getting back into it is really hard, and that's the last thing you want at this stage of a race. That looks a bit better, but it's got some big left-hander coming up, I think, in a minute. Rocky. Nicely done. She looks to be a little bit more back into it, letting off the brakes, just rolling down. A little bit of a dab. There is the distinct possibility when you're under pressure, you come down as a quicker part of that single track, it suddenly comes to a grinding halt, that you either lose momentum or you overcook it when you're tired. Back on the road. And back into some sort of rhythm. No problems descending there for Anna Weinbeer. Nice and happy. We did wonder whether she would have the technical ability, or not have the technical ability, or whether she'd still have the energy to maintain focus. But yeah, that was a nice bit of descending. All good. 3 minutes now, the gap back to Fischer and Van Doorn. We still haven't seen Fischer descending. Certainly Van Doorn looked like she was a little bit less comfortable. There we are, there's Natalia Fischer. Again, another small rider. And when you're a small rider, you really have to let the bike do the work for you. Muscling a bike round is not great. Oh! And just losing it on that right-hand switch back. Back with our leader, Anna Weinbeer. She just, I think, knocked off the gas now, which is completely understandable. She knows that she's got a lead. She won't know how big that lead is, but she's been looking over her shoulder. She hasn't seen anybody coming up with it. She'll keep enough pressure on the pedals just to keep going. And into the big gear. She likes rolling that big gear. We saw it earlier. And that's fine. As we were just talking about, some riders are happy doing that. And certainly if Weinbeer has got any road riding in her training, rolling that big gear, especially in the winter, will be a prerequisite. Riding for KTM. This year, a new bike sponsor for Weinbeer. KTM, of course, although they've been immensely successful in mountain biking in the last few years with people like Weinbeer and Andres Sebelt we were talking about earlier, were primarily, well, still are, a motorcycle manufacturer. Started off in Austria building bikes with engines you could buy off the shelf. I think they had Rotax engines originally, but long since developed their own off-road engines and off-road bikes, and they are probably the leading adventure bike manufacturer, certainly with a racing pedigree. And it seems a natural progression to do mountain bikes as well, and what success they've had. 3:25 now the gap from our leader that you're watching, Anna Weinbeer, back to the chasing pair of Fischer and Van Doorn. Look how close they are on the right-hand side. Again, another rider can roll the big gear. We were talking about that earlier. So frustrating for a rider to be able to see your nearest rival just up the road. And we've all been there, haven't we? It takes forever to either get up onto the wheel, or you see them just riding away from you at 1 kilometer an hour faster than you are, and you just can't get back to them. It is probably one of the most demoralizing things in any sport anywhere in the world. They're there, but you can't get them. Beautiful weather here in the mountains, inland of Costa Blanca. As I said earlier, the Costa Blanca was really the first area in Spain to become a tourist destination back in the 1960s and 1970s. And a lot of Spaniards come here and have apartments here for their winter breaks, holiday homes, and so forth. It's not really turned into the sort of tourist area that the south of Spain has, Andalusia and places like that, but oh, it's so close. And Van Doorn riding that big gear. Switches down in preparation. She's still not giving up. Definitely suffering though. the #1 rider in the world at mountain marathon. Fighting for the points, fighting for the place on the podium, the second spot. She lives and trains in the Netherlands. In fact, when I spoke to her last year about training, she said, well, I've only got one hill. There's no mountains, it's just one hill. And she goes backwards and forwards over the hill. And it's not particularly big hill either. Oh, that's so tantalizingly close. Both riders absolutely giving it 99% here. And that's what you want. You want to give it 98, 99%. You give it 100% and you're gone. You will blow. You've got to keep it on the rivet, as they say. Just inside your maximum threshold. It's a very old roadie term, isn't it? On the rivet. Bit of a flashback. Van Doorn. Passing through the trees. I have to say that Fischer, she looks like she's fighting the bike, doesn't she, sometimes? For a small rider, she looks like she's properly trying to muscle it. She knows that she's got to give it everything she can just within those limits to hold off the world #1 behind her. Because there's no way Van Doorn is giving up. The 20 seconds now the gap has spun out to. Good riding by the Spanish champion. Yeah, it's difficult to tell, but it looks like we're looking at Niemcevich and Otto on that overhead shot. Back to our battle for second and third spot. Oh, and I think, is it possible that Fischer has broken Rosa van Doorn? The gap now, 30 seconds. It says 25 at the bottom, says 30 at the top. Again, we'll take it in the middle. Let's say 28, just for the sake of argument. No, I think Rosa van Doorn, she's sat up, I think. Yep, she's definitely sat up. She knows she's not going to make an impact anymore. 30 seconds it is now on the bottom clock. And you can just tell by the body language. Shoulders have gone up again. She's sitting square in the saddle. She's still riding. She's still putting pressure on the pedals, but I just think she's given up the chase. And it'll take something spectacular from Natalia Fischer's riding here to go wrong for that gap to come down again. Remember, Fischer not aware of that. The other thing, of course, is Rosa van Doorn could have just said to herself, look, I just need to knock off the gas a little bit. I need to recover. Not too long, but just enough to start pushing the pressure on again. I wonder if she sat there going, well, I'm not going to catch her. And maybe she said a little word to herself and said, well, come on, you're so close to the end now. Give it everything you've got. Taking a look over her shoulder, she'll be well aware for a long time now that there's nobody within striking distance. Gretje Koerman is 12 minutes and 20 seconds down from the lead. So essentially 8 minutes down from Rosa van Doorn. So the real question that'll be going through Rosa van Doorn's head is, have I got it in my legs to take the fight back to the Spanish national champion here? Meanwhile, Anna Weinbeer is still got that 3-minute lead over the second place rider who is on your screen right here, the Spanish national champion. Now there is our leading rider with Nicola on his bike, making the follow. Like I said earlier, hats off to all our technical staff. Great stuff. I mean, there's some real purpose actually still in Anna Weinbeer's riding. That shows a massive amount of confidence. She piled along the asphalt there and then just pitched it into the descent straight away and riding so smoothly. And this woman sort of came of age last year in the Black Forest. She was second in the World Championships, and sort of a bit of a surprise to a lot of people who are casual observers of the sport. She's riding super, really well. And it's not easy. This sort of terrain is not easy. Not only is it difficult under tyre, but you've also got lots of overhanging bits of brush and branch that get battered around. And anything can put you off, and the last thing you want in a race is to have that little bit of concentration take it away from you and a sort of silly accident to happen. Your leader on the left-hand side of the screen, Weinbeer of Switzerland. Riding for KTM on the right-hand side is our second-place rider, the Spanish national champion, Natalia Fischer. Making the transition again. She's a rider making transition from shorter course to longer course. Nicely done, Anna. It's just a pleasure to watch, isn't it? Nicely flowing descent. This is one of the great things about marathon courses. You've got these long single tracks on courses around the world, and this is what mountain biking always used to be like. Originally, of course, it started off in California as a downhill sport, but then as soon as cross-country riding got involved, in the riders like Joe Murray, Ned Overend, all these riders, this is where it certainly started mountain biking, and this is what I love for cross-country. Big long courses. Rosa van Doorn, tall rider, knee out style, really, just balancing herself. She's trying to give it everything here to try and cut down that gap again. This is great descending. Beautiful to watch. But quite an active rider on the bike. Uses her weight. Again, a little bit like Seewald. She drops, instead of dropping a hip, which is what you see Seewald do, or the right or left-hand side, depending where he's coming, she drops the shoulder into the corner. Look, watch this. If we get a shot of it. Drops the right shoulder. And again, drops the left shoulder. Oh, the flow is great here. This is really, really lovely to watch. What fantastic shots, so close. This was the dream of mountain bike organizers for decades, is to be able to cover races like this. So close, right in with the action. But technology was never good enough to do that. Oh, beautifully done. Just hops the bike round, keeps the flow going, no let up in the pace. We saw her put her foot down on an earlier section, but she's back in the flow again. That's lovely to watch. Really, really lovely. Bang it into a big gear, and away you go. Well, we still have 45 seconds. Oh, lovely. Straight into the left. Shifts her weight around so beautifully on the bike. Back with our leader. Just tucked in. And you can imagine she spends a fair amount of time on a road bike, wouldn't you? Just putting big miles in. She looks like she'll be a pretty good time trialist to me. And of course, most bikers spend their time coming from one discipline or the other, or at least take part in one discipline or the other at some point in their career. So many riders have crossed over from mountain biking to gravel, for example, at the moment, and same with road to gravel. But many riders have gone the other way. It took a long time, I think, for the road fraternity to accept that mountain bikers were actual bike riders. But I mean, you saw early on people like John Tomac, who were just extraordinary athletes moving onto the road, playing a low-key role on the road, but then riders like Cadel Evans, you know, ultimately winning the Tour de France as a former Grundig World Cup winner. So it's far, far more fluid these days. This is Paula Greca-Kerman, fourth, just sat in there now. But as you can see, the gap between Otto and Kerman is about 1 minute 40 seconds. And there's a further minute back to Niemnovic. Oh, she's lost a lot of time, though, compared to Otto, the American. And you have to wonder if she's got much left in her legs at all. She's a fair way back, remember. Our leader, Anna Weinbeer, is 3 kilometers from the end. But look at the amount of time that Greca-Kerman is losing to the American. And as I said earlier, once you're off the podium, it's about points. It's a long, long, long season. And the more points you can amass, the better position you're going to be at the end. You may never win an event, and you may end up in the top 3. Back with our leader. Almost looks like she's enjoying it. Careful of the little tunnel. All these riders will have ridden this course before. They will know these things are here. But they'll have wanted to be out here for quite a while, especially as it's the first round of the season. People just don't pitch up, get on the bike and ride. They'll have been here for a while. Just getting used to the terrain, getting used to the surfaces, thinking about setting up their bikes, riding the course, knowing what they're going to be up against. Nicely done. She certainly is not afraid of a big gear going downhill either, is she? The only difficulty with big gears is less of a problem these days, and we've got real ways of dealing with it. But the only problem with riding a big gear downhill fast is that if you do hit something, the possibility of the chain unshipping is a little bit more, but not really much. It's actually quite fun going as fast as you can down these. I'm personally not a downhiller in the sense of like big drop-offs and big air, and that's a different breed. But fast single track downhill is great. And Anna Weinbeer doing a fantastic job. She's 3 minutes 25 seconds, unassailable lead. In the final kilometre of this race, she can just enjoy it. She knows she's got it in the bag, and now that sort of elation will be starting to fill her, a little bit of extra adrenaline, knowing that she's going to take the first round of the UCI Hero Marathon World Cup here at Calpe, presented by Millennium Luxury Properties. It's been a great race. What a tour de force by the Swiss rider, who just took it on within the first 20 kilometers and has ridden away from everybody, established the lead of about 3 minutes and 30 seconds and has held on to it. This is Otto of the United States of America. She's currently 5th. Will she finish 4th? That is the question. We might well see a sprint finish at the end, because Greca-Kerman has been losing ground to the American. Looking strong. She's gaining hand over fist. She's gaining nearly a minute on Greca-Kerman in the last 7 kilometers, and which means there's the Polish rider ahead's got a bit of a spaghetti leg going on at the moment, I think. A little bit difficult at this area of the course to see just how far ahead other riders are or how far behind, but you do get little glimpses. And if you can see somebody flashing through the trees and they have that ability to catch them down, then you'll be onto it like a flash if you can. Coming up to the line then, Anna Weinbeer in the colors of KTM, the Swiss rider, second in the World Championships. What a ride! And she's won by a country mile here. 3 minutes and 20 seconds was her last gap. That is a brilliant ride. And she points to her chest going, I'm the one, I am number one. Well, she said she wants to deal with the whole season, but what a ride. She's laid down her colors very, very early on, thrown down the gauntlet to all the other competitors. Well, not according to that graphic. You can see that Natalia Fischer just obscured, the flag just obscured by Weinbeer there, but Van Doorn is definitely still behind her. But look at the gap between Grete Kerman, Otto, and Niemkiewicz as well, all battling for the third spot on the podium. 40 seconds was the gap, 45 seconds in fact, from Fischer to Van Doorn. Van Doorn, this is the last roll of the dice. Now, always spectacular. I thought something disastrous was going to be shown then, but no, just to show how good it was. Roll the big gear. And we're looking down on Fischer by the look of it. She knows she's got to keep the pressure and she's got to keep going. And she's coming in towards the finish now, and I don't think Van Doorn's got anything, any answer to this. She's chased, but it's not going to happen. And second spot is going to go to the Spanish national champion. Takes the final left-hander. That's a nice shot overhead. Anna Weinbeer winning in a time of 4 hours 27:05. It's about the same time gap back, isn't it? It was 3:30. Sprinting towards the line comes Natalia Fischer. She knows she's got second. That's a great finish. Great finish. She's very, very happy with that. Not just with the second spot on the podium, but also the fact that she's managed to hold off. And here comes Rosa van Doorn. She started the day as one of the big favorites. She came into this first round of the 2026 UCI Hero Marathon World Cup, having conquered the last one in 25, and she has to settle for third today. She'll still have a big smile on her face, because she always does. Third spot to Rosa van Doorn, but that was a bit of an epic struggle between her and Fischer. Great riding by Fischer. Van Doorn threw the gauntlet down, rode away from Fischer, but she wasn't having any of it, the Spaniard, and just dug in and dug in and dug in, rode up to the back wheel of Van Doorn and passed her, and then just for that little few seconds you thought, well, Van Doorn's going to get back on again, but no. Back with the women's race live then. This is the battle for fourth. Grete Kerman looked like she was really suffering and losing ground to the American Hannah Otto, but she's still in third spot. Well, you think it might be a bit of respite going downhill, but when you're that tired, it can be difficult. Be interesting to know what the gap is now, but we're currently riding with Grete Kerman of Poland. Ooh, just flicking the left knee out, avoiding something on the right-hand side. Bit of a riding sort of pumps the front of the bike into a dip. She's still losing time. Well, she lost time up in the last 10 kilometers to Otto. Ooh, that's a bit of a difficult spot to have to stop for one of our camera bites. And if you watch Grete Kerman's style, even coming over the top there, she just puts that pressure on the bars, just pumps it down into a dip, which is fine. The last thing you want when you're racing cross country is to start taking some sort of air. It's not, or letting the front end go loose. You don't want to push too hard, especially when it's real sketchy. But as you see on the graphic on the left-hand side, it looks to me as though Otto has lost the momentum. She's a long way back now from Gorecha Kerman, who is going to be safe for third spot on the podium. The question is Niemkiewicz going to catch Otto? From the UCI Hero Marathon World Cup round at Calpe, round one. And there's Otto on the right-hand side of your screen. And the American still piling away, but sadly not going to make that third step of the podium as Gorecha Kerman takes the final left-hand bend. Riding up to the line, just out of the saddle, keep the momentum going. Just pulls the jersey up a little bit. Fourth spot for Gorecha Kerman. Look at the gap, 11 minutes nearly, 10.5 minutes between the podium and fourth place rider. Let's enjoy riding with our fifth place rider on the course. This is Otto of the United States of America, in what I think is the best kit. National Champions kit. It's great, it's lovely. That's not being partisan in any way, it's just a great kit. Beautiful countryside to visit yourself, and if you do, make sure you check out the Hero website, because they'll have lots of details of where they went. And you'll enjoy it. This is the first round of the Hero UCI Marathon World Cup. We move to Capo de Vieri on the island of Elba on the 9th of May. Then it's the Sud Dolomiti, which I have the pleasure of talking to you again at, because it's just a wonderful race. They've been there for years and years. In Selva Gardena in the Dolomites. Then the Black Forest Ultra Bike Marathon on the 26th of July, finishing with the Sea Otter Europe in Girona, back here on the Costa Brava on the 20th of September. Into the final tarmac stretch then for the American. Takes the final corner, nice and smooth. 17 minutes, going to be the best part of 18 minutes down on our winner, Anna Weinbeer, but it's all about points now for these riders, and that's a great ride by the American. And she's happy with that big smile. Position of Niemkiewicz. I think it's just gone through. It is. Lelia Niemkiewicz finishes in 6th spot. Magnificent race, and the battles for 2nd and 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Brilliant stuff. Weinbeer takes the win ahead of Fischer and Van Doorn. A 4th spot for Paula Gorecha Kerman. Rejhanna Otto taking 5th, and Leja Niemkiewicz of Bosnia-Herzegovina taking the 6th spot. A gap of nearly 20 minutes between the front rider and the 6th rider in. This is an interesting graphic. Look at this. So you can see how people are pulling out time or not, as the case may be. Anna Weinbeer only lost in the middle section about 60 kilometers. You can see how dominant she was. Everybody else losing time to her, except for Natalia Fischer in the last Last country, last 10 kilometers, and that's when really Weinbeer had knocked off the gas.
On third place, representing Netherlands, this is Rosa van Doorn. Congratulations!
Sounds like a boxing commentary.
On second place, ladies and gentlemen, representing Spain, Extremadura, Ecopiras, Natalia Fischer.
Well, nice they brought the party atmosphere here.
The winner of the first round of the Hero UCI Cross Country Marathon World Cup Costa Blanca, Calpe, Benissa. Representing Switzerland, KTM Spauda, powered by Brenta Bikes. Weinbeer. Congratulations! Here she goes. And now we ask Mr. Ernesto Garcia on the stage, and we ask Oscar Martos also on the stage, and we ask Austrian Carrera on the stage. Welcome. Having Ernesto Garcia, CEO of GH Costa Blanca, Oscar Martos, CEO of Millennium Luxury Properties, and Adrian Cabrera, sport council.
Well, just while we're being introduced to all the dignitaries,
so, the third prize
just look at the difference in height between Fischer on the left-hand side of your screen and Van Doorn on the right-hand side. They're basically at the same head height, but they're on different steps of the podium.
3, 2, 1.
I took a look at Weinbeer a little bit by surprise. Shouldn't do with a name like that.
Congratulations.
There we go. I love this celebration. It was originally, obviously, from motor racing. It was originally because somebody sprayed champagne on their feet when their driving shoes started burning through some hot pedals in the 1920s on race cars. But seems to be the obligatory way of celebrating anything on a podium these days.